Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting, focusing on the top 9 most valuable Washington quarter-dollar coins that could be hiding in your collection. These coins aren't just spare change. They're worth thousands, even up to $143,750. So, grab your coin jars and let's see if you're sitting on a fortune. The 1978 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks like just another coin. Common, ordinary, something that clinks around in change jars and pockets across America. But what if I told you that this very coin, minted in the millions, might just be worth far more than 25 cents? In fact, in some cases, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's dive into the full history, hidden secrets, and current market value of the 1978 Washington quarter. You'll want to watch until the end because even a tiny detail on one of these coins could make it a jackpot find. Let's go back to the basics. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It quickly became a staple of American coinage. By 1978, the coin had seen decades of circulation, and although the silver content had been removed after 1964, the quarter remained a workhorse of American commerce. In 1978, the quarter was struck at 2 main mints, Philadelphia and Denver. You can identify where your coin was minted by checking the small letter just beside the tail of George Washington's ponytail. A D indicates the Denver Mint. No mint mark at all? That means it was minted in Philadelphia. Now let's talk about design. The obverse, or front, features the profile of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. It's the same design used since 1932. The reverse, or back, showcases an eagle with spread wings, perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches. Again, standard for the era. Nothing flashy, nothing too eye-catching, at least not at first. But here's where things get interesting. The 1978 quarter is not made of silver. It's composed of copper and nickel. That's standard for post-1965 quarters. So, most circulated 1978 quarters are only worth face value. However, certain rare errors and high-grade coins break that rule in dramatic fashion. Let's talk errors. If you come across a 1978 quarter that looks off, take a closer look. Off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, and planchet errors can all skyrocket a coin's value. A double die error means some of the design elements were struck twice, creating a doubling effect that's visible to the naked eye. Imagine looking at the word Liberty and seeing each letter shadowed or doubled. That's a red flag, and a good one. In pristine condition, a double die quarter can sell for hundreds of dollars. Then there are off-center strikes. These happen when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process. The result? A coin that looks like part of it is missing or misaligned. Depending on how severe the error is, these can go for $50, $100, or even more. Another major factor in value is grade. The grading scale for coins goes from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a flawless coin. Most quarters you find in circulation grade between 20 and 40. But if you stumble upon a 1978 quarter that's never been circulated, shiny and without scratches, it might grade above 60. Some high-grade examples have sold for over $200. And in rare cases, coins that grade 67 or higher can fetch well over $1,000 at auction. Now let's talk about proof coins. These weren't released into circulation. They were specially made for collectors by the San Francisco Mint, and you can spot them by the S mint mark. They have mirror-like finishes and sharper details. While most proof quarters from 1978 aren't worth a fortune, flawless examples or those with cameo contrast can still bring in $50 to a few $100 depending on the market. So what's the big takeaway? If you've got a 1978 Washington quarter sitting around, don't just toss it in a coin jar. Take a look. Check the mint mark. Look for errors. Examine the coin's condition. And if anything looks unusual or if it seems almost perfect, it might be time to have it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. The current market value for most 1,978 quarters is about 25 cents. But that's just the average. A well-preserved, rare error coin or a high-grade mint state piece can be worth hundreds or more. In fact, one rare 1978 D quarter graded MS67 plus sold at auction for over $1,700. And that's just one example. So whether you're a coin collector, a curious treasure hunter, or just someone hoping your spare change holds a secret, the 1978 Washington quarter is a coin worth paying attention to. It's a small piece of American history, and for some, it's a small fortune hiding in plain sight. We are diving deep into a coin that might be hiding in your change jar right now. A coin that at first glance seems ordinary, but in the world of numismatics, it's anything but. We're talking about the 1983 Washington quarter, a seemingly common coin with an extraordinary story and the potential to be worth big money. So grab your magnifying glass, sit back, and let's uncover the full history, the market value, and the secrets behind this iconic coin. First, let's talk about the Washington quarter itself. The design was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. It was intended as a one-year commemorative coin, but it became so popular that it replaced the standing Liberty quarter permanently. The obverse features the portrait of George Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan, while the reverse design shows the American eagle with outstretched wings. This design stayed on the quarter until the state quarters program began in 1999. But today, our focus is not just on any quarter. We're zooming in on the one minted in 1983 at the Philadelphia Mint, a coin that has become a hidden gem among collectors. So what makes the 1983 Washington quarter so special? Well, first of all, 1983 was smack in the middle of a unique period in U.S. mint history. During the early 1980s, the economy was in rough shape, and coin collecting took a bit of a dive. As a result, the U.S. Mint did not produce mint sets in 1982 or 1983. That might not sound like a big deal, but it is. Because no official mint sets were made for those years, collectors were forced to get their coins from circulation, meaning most of the 1983 quarters that survive today have seen wear and tear. That alone made uncirculated examples from that year extremely hard to find, especially those from the Philadelphia Mint marked with a tiny P on the obverse near Washington's ponytail. But there's more. A lot of the quarters from 1983, especially those minted in Philadelphia, are known for having weak strikes. That means the design details may not be as sharp or fully formed. Combine that with poor quality control during the minting process and you get another thing collectors look for: die cracks, off-center strikes, and other mint errors. Some of these error coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. Now here's where things get really exciting. If you come across a 1983 Washington quarter that has a full, sharp strike, no signs of circulation, and beautiful eye appeal, then you've got something rare. These high-quality coins are extremely desirable because they are hard to find due to the lack of mint sets and the low-quality control that year. In fact, in the highest grades, we're talking mint state 67 or better, these coins have fetched over $1,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right. A coin with a face value of 25 cents could be worth over $1,000 today. But wait, there's more. One of the most famous and valuable errors in the 1983 Washington quarter is known as the spitting eagle variety. This error features a die crack that extends from the eagle's beak, giving the appearance that the eagle is spitting. Collectors love this kind of thing, and the spitting eagle variety has become a hot item. Depending on condition, these can sell for anywhere from $50 to several $100s, especially if they're in uncirculated condition. As of today, the value of a regular 1983 Washington quarter in average circulated condition is just its face value, 25 cents. But in uncirculated condition, it can be worth anywhere from $10 to $50, and in the highest grades or with an error, it can skyrocket into the hundreds or more. If you think you have one, the best thing to do is get it graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Once it's professionally graded, you can list it for sale on platforms like eBay, Great Collections, or Heritage Auctions. You'd be surprised how many collectors are actively looking for this coin. So there you have it. The 1983 Washington quarter may seem like pocket change, but in the right condition or with the right error, it can be a valuable treasure. Always check your change and keep an eye out for those rare dates and mint marks. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of modern American coinage. Specifically, we're going to talk about the 1987 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, this coin might look like any other loose change in your pocket, but there's a whole story behind it. Some of these coins have turned out to be worth way more than face value, and we're going to break down why. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's get into the real value and history of the 1987 P quarter. You don't want to miss this, especially if you're a collector or even just someone who checks their spare change. First, let's talk about the basics. The Washington quarter has been around since 1932. It was introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design features the familiar profile of Washington on the obverse, or the front side of the coin, designed by John Flanagan. The reverse side, until the year 1998, showed the iconic bald eagle with outstretched wings clutching a bundle of arrows. Now, the 1987 P quarter was minted in Philadelphia, as shown by the small letter P just above the date on the obverse side of the coin. In that year, the Philadelphia Mint struck an incredible number of these quarters, over 582 million to be exact. With numbers like that, you'd think the coin would be too common to ever be worth more than 25 cents. Right, well, that's mostly true, but not entirely. Let's take a look at what can make a 1987 P quarter worth more than face value. There are a few factors that drive up the value of coins like this. The first is condition. Coins that are uncirculated, meaning they were never used in everyday transactions, and especially those that have been graded by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can bring in a decent premium. A 1987 P quarter graded MS67, which means it's in near-perfect mint state condition, can sell for anywhere from $100 to $200 or more at auction. That might not sound like a lot at first, but remember, this is a modern coin, and 100 times face value is still a great return if you find one in your collection. But that's not all. You also have to look out for errors. Now this is where things get interesting. Some 1987 P quarters have minting errors that make them extremely valuable to collectors. We're talking about things like off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or even coins struck on the wrong metal. These errors happen when something goes wrong during the minting process, and depending on how dramatic or unusual the error is, collectors will pay a lot to get their hands on one. For example, a dramatic off-center strike or a quarter that was mistakenly struck on a nickel planchet could be worth hundreds of dollars or more. If you ever find a 1987 P quarter that looks strange, misaligned, or different in color or weight, don't spend it. Have it checked out by a professional. You might be sitting on a hidden gem. Alright, so what about current market values? As of right now, in 2025, most circulated 1987 P quarters are still worth face value, just 25 cents. But uncirculated coins, especially those in mint sets or professionally graded examples, can go for $5, $10, or even up to $50 depending on quality. The top-grade examples, like those graded MS67 or MS68, are where you start to see prices hitting the $150 to $250 range. Error coins? That's a whole different game. Depending on the rarity and eye appeal of the error, these coins have been known to fetch between $100 and over $1,000 at auction. And here's a bonus tip for collectors. The 1987 year is also unique because the U.S. Mint did not produce any quarters for general circulation from the San Francisco Mint in that year. All San Francisco quarters from 1987 were made only for proof sets, which were intended for collectors. That means if you happen to find an S-Mint 1987 quarter, it likely came from a broken proof set, and it's usually in pristine condition. So here's what to remember: check your change, especially if you're looking through older rolls or coin jars. Look closely at the 1987 P quarters. Check for errors. Check the condition. And if you think you've got something special, have it professionally graded. You could be sitting on a coin worth 100 times more than its face value. Before we wrap up, here's the golden rule for all coin collectors and enthusiasts. When in doubt, don't cash it out. Take a closer look, learn the signs, and you might just find a small treasure hiding in plain sight. We're diving deep into the full history of this coin, exploring why it matters, what to look for, and how much it could be worth in today's market. Let's rewind a bit to understand the legacy behind this piece of American currency. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, this coin has become a cornerstone of American coinage. The obverse or head side features a profile of George Washington, while the reverse or tail side originally showed a bald eagle perched with wings outstretched. Fast forward to 1990. The United States Mint in Philadelphia struck over 613 million quarters that year. That's right, more than 500 million coins. With numbers like that, you might think every single 1990 P quarter is common and worth just 25 cents. But hold on. Not all coins are created equal. What makes some 1990p quarters valuable is not their age or their silver content, since they're made of copper nickel and not silver. The real value comes from condition, rarity of errors, and collector demand. One of the first things collectors look for is condition. Coins that are in mint state, especially those graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch far more than face value. A 1990p quarter in superb condition can be worth anywhere from $5 to $25 or more depending on its appearance and grade. But that's just the beginning. What really spikes the price is when a 1990p quarter has an error. Let's talk about some of the most sought-after errors you might find. First up is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't properly centered during the minting process. If the design is visibly off but all the date and mint mark are still readable, collectors can pay $50 to hundreds of dollars depending on how dramatic the error is. Then there's the double die error. This is when parts of the design like the letters or numbers appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die-making process. A true double die quarter from 1990 can command serious attention from collectors and potentially reach values in the hundreds of dollars. Another one to look out for is the missing mint mark error. Although all quarters from Philadelphia should carry a small P just to the right of Washington's ponytail. If that P is completely missing and the coin is authentic, you might be holding on to something incredibly rare. Missing mint mark errors from the 1980s and 1990s are exceptionally scarce and can sell for hundreds or even thousands if verified. There are also known examples of die cracks, where the coin shows raised lines caused by cracks in the minting die. While more minor, collectors still value these quirks, and a nice die crack coin from 1990 might bring in $20 to $50 depending on size and location. Let's not forget about proof errors or coins struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine finding a quarter that was accidentally struck on a dime blank. These dramatic minting mistakes are extremely rare, but when discovered, they often go to auction and can sell for over $1,000. Now let's talk about current market value. As of this year, most circulated 1990p Washington quarters are still only worth face value, 25 cents. But uncirculated examples, especially in mint state 66 and above, are fetching higher prices. A pristine MS67 example recently sold for over $200. That's a huge return for a coin that could have just been sitting in someone's coin jar. If you have a 1990p quarter, take a close look. Use a magnifying glass. Check the edges, the mint mark, the lettering, and compare with known error types online. You could have a valuable coin sitting right under your nose. Coin collecting is not just about value, though. It's about history, detail, and the thrill of discovery. Every coin tells a story, and the 1990p quarter is no exception. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, always pay attention to the coins you get in change. You never know when a rare treasure might pass through your hands. We're diving into one specific coin that might just be worth a small fortune. We're talking about the 1994 D Washington $quarter coin. It may look like an ordinary quarter at first glance, but there are some very important things you need to know that could make this coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The 1994 D Washington quarter was minted in Denver, and it's part of the iconic Washington Quarter series that began way back in 1932. Designed to honor George Washington, this coin series became a staple in American currency. But what makes the 1994 D so special, and why are collectors paying so much for certain examples of this coin? Let's break it all down. First off, let's look at the basics. Over 880 million 1994 D quarters were minted in Denver. That's a huge number, which might make you think the coin isn't rare at all. And in a general sense, that's true. Most 1994 D quarters are only worth face value if they're circulated and show wear. But in the world of numismatics, condition and unique errors change everything. So, let's talk about condition. In the coin collecting world, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A grade of 70 means a coin is flawless. Now here's the exciting part. If you have a 1994 D Washington quarter in mint state condition, especially in grades MS67 or MS68, it can be worth serious money. For example, a 1994 D quarter graded MS67 can be worth around $30 to $60 depending on the demand. But if you're lucky enough to have a coin graded MS68, you're looking at a value of up to $500 or more. One of these coins even sold at auction for over $800. That's right, a single 25-cent coin sold for over $800 because of its pristine condition and rarity in that grade. Now let's get into the real hidden treasure error coins. These are coins that were minted with mistakes and can be worth huge sums of money. Some known errors on the 1994 D Washington quarter include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and die cracks. Even a small error can dramatically increase the value. One particularly rare type of error is the double die reverse. This occurs when the design is accidentally stamped twice onto the coin, creating a doubled image that can often be seen in the lettering or the eagle on the reverse side. A strong double die can make a coin worth hundreds, sometimes even over $1,000 depending on condition. There are also quarters struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were accidentally minted on a coin blank intended for another denomination. These are incredibly rare but can sell for thousands of dollars at auction. For example, a 1994 D quarter struck on a dime planchet can be worth over $2,000. Another thing to watch for is full strike detail. Collectors pay more for coins where every detail of the design is sharply struck and fully visible. A strong strike, especially on the eagle's feathers and Washington's hair, can boost the value. Now let's talk about how you can find out if your 1994 D quarter is worth big money. The first thing to do is check the condition. Is it shiny, with no scratches or signs of wear? You might want to get it graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. That's the best way to determine its true market value. Next, check for errors. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the coin closely. Look for doubling on the lettering or details, odd shapes, missing parts, or anything that looks unusual. If you spot something strange, it could be a rare mint error. And don't forget about proof coins. Although most proofs are made in San Francisco and not Denver, sometimes proof-like strikes can sneak out. If you have a 1994 D quarter with a mirror-like finish and super sharp detail, you might want to have it evaluated as well. So what's the bottom line? The average 1994 D Washington quarter you pull from change probably isn't worth more than 25 cents. But if you find one in top condition, or one with a rare mint error, you could be sitting on a hidden treasure. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on the error type and grade. Keep in mind that coin values can change over time. The coin market is influenced by demand, rarity, and condition. In 2025, collectors are still on the hunt for high-grade 1994 D quarters, especially those with errors, so now is a great time to go through your collection and see what you've got. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just curious about your pocket change, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. And the 1994 D Washington $quarter coin is a perfect example of how something so small can hold so much value. We dive into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change. Today, we are taking a deep dive into two Washington $quarter coins that could be worth a surprising amount of money. That's right, we're talking about the 2000p South Carolina quarter and the 1788 dated state quarters, which were actually released in the year 1999 and 2000. So stick around because some of these coins are fetching hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the current coin market. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. Fast forward to 1999 and the U.S. Mint launched the 50 State Quarters program, which became one of the most popular coin series ever produced in America. Each coin in this series features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and a unique reverse design representing one of the 50 U.S. states. Now let's talk about the 2000p quarter. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, where this coin was struck. Specifically, we're looking at the 2000p South Carolina quarter. What makes this coin so special is a famous mint error that occurred during production. Some examples of this coin were struck on the wrong metal planchet, meaning they were accidentally made using metal meant for other coins. That's a big deal in the coin world and collectors go crazy for these kinds of mistakes. One such error is the 2000p South Carolina quarter struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet. That's a golden-colored dollar coin planchet. So imagine a quarter that looks golden and weighs more than normal. If you come across one of these, hold on to it. One of these error coins sold for over $10,000 at auction. That's life-changing money for something that might be hiding in your coin jar right now. Another type of error found on the 2000p quarters is double die errors. These happen when the coin design is struck twice slightly off alignment, which causes a doubling effect on the lettering or design. These are rare but not impossible to find, and depending on the clarity of the doubling, they can sell for several $100s each. Now let's shift to the 1788 quarters. You might be wondering how there are quarters dated 1788 when the United States Mint didn't even exist yet. Well, here's the thing. The 1788 date refers to the year the state was ratified into the Union, not the year the coin was made. For example, the 1999 Delaware quarter has 1787 on it, and the Georgia quarter released in 1999 has 1788 on it. These dates are symbolic, not literal. Collectors pay attention to these early state quarters, especially the ones from 1999 and 2000, because they were the first to kick off the state quarters program. Some of the 1788 Georgia and Connecticut quarters from 1999 have off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or even broad-struck errors, which can all drive their value up significantly. Let's talk value. A standard 2000p South Carolina quarter in circulated condition is usually only worth face value, which is 25 cents. However, if it is in uncirculated condition or has a known error, the value can jump dramatically. Mint State 65 graded examples can sell for up to $5 or more, while error versions can sell for hundreds or even thousands. Similarly, with the 1788 quarters from Georgia and Connecticut, a regular circulated coin is worth face value unless it's in pristine condition or has a mint error. But some high-grade examples graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can sell for $20 to $50, and that's without any error. So how can you tell if your quarter is valuable? Well, first check the condition. Coins that are shiny, have no scratches, and appear untouched are more desirable to collectors. Next, check for errors. Look closely at the edges, the letters, the weight, and even the color of the coin. If anything seems off, it could be worth investigating. You can use a magnifying glass or take your coin to a reputable coin dealer to have it evaluated. Now let's check out the current market. As of this year, collectors are still very active in the quarter market. With the rise of online auctions and coin collecting communities, some error quarters have seen a resurgence in value. Especially with inflation and rising interest in alternative assets, more people are treating rare coins like investments. eBay listings show that some error 2000p quarters have sold for as much as $1,500 in the past year. Graded MS68 examples of state quarters, especially those from the early releases like 1999 and 2000, can sell for over $100 each. So what's the takeaway? Keep your eyes open. Go through your change. Check that coin jar. Look through any old rolls of quarters you might have tucked away. You never know when you might come across a coin that looks ordinary but could be worth a small fortune. And that's it for today's deep dive into the 2000p and 1788 Washington quarters. If you have a 2002D Washington quarter in your coin jar, pocket, or old drawer, you might be sitting on a surprising piece of American history worth more than face value. Sometimes a lot more. But wait, what's this about 1803 on a 2002 coin? That mystery alone could mean serious money for collectors. Today, we're diving deep into the history, significance, and current market value of the 2002D Washington quarter, with a spotlight on the Ohio State quarter design that nods to the year 1803. Whether you're a collector or just curious, this is a coin story you don't want to miss. Back in 1999, the United States Mint launched a program that changed coin collecting forever. The 50-state quarters program was designed to honor each of the 50 states with a unique design released in the order each state joined the Union. These quarters quickly became a national obsession. From kids to grandparents, everyone was trying to collect them all. In 2002, 5 states were honored: Tennessee, Ohio, Louisiana, Indiana, and Mississippi. Each coin told a story, not just of American heritage, but of the creativity and pride of each individual state. Among the 2002 releases, the Ohio quarter stands out, and that's where the 1803 date comes in. Even though the coin was minted in 2002, it features the date 1803 to represent the year Ohio became the 17th state in the Union. The design on the reverse side of the Ohio quarter showcases a vintage astronaut and the Wright Flyer, a nod to Ohio's proud aviation history and its contribution to space exploration. Ohio is the birthplace of pioneers like Orville Wright and Neil Armstrong. That legacy is stamped right into the metal of this coin. So when you see a 2002 quarter with the date 1803, don't be confused. It's not an error. It's a tribute. But some specific mint marks and varieties can make this coin worth far more than 25 cents. Now let's zero in on the 2002 D version of the coin. That D stands for the Denver Mint, which produced over 414 million Ohio quarters that year. While that's a huge number, not all of those coins were created equal. In coin collecting, a few key things can make a coin rare and valuable: mint errors, low population and high grades, and demand among collectors. With the 2002 D Ohio quarter, there are a few standout varieties that command high prices in the market. First, let's talk errors. Some 2002 D quarters have been found with double dies, where the image or lettering appears doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. These errors can be subtle, like slightly blurred or shadowed letters, or very dramatic. The more pronounced the error, the higher the potential value. Next up are off-center strikes, coins that were not perfectly aligned in the press and ended up with an uneven or partially missing design. If you've got a 2002 D Ohio quarter with 10 to 50% of the design missing due to an off-center strike, that could fetch anywhere from $50 to several $100s depending on condition. Another hot-ticket item is the so-called clad layer missing error. These quarters look different because they're missing part of the outer nickel layer, revealing the copper core underneath. These are rare and eye-catching, and collectors love them. But what about coins without errors? Can a regular 2002 D Ohio quarter still be valuable? The answer is yes, if it's in pristine condition. Coins that have been professionally graded by companies like PCGS or NGC and receive a high grade, like MS67 or higher, can bring in real money. MS stands for mint state, and a grade of 67 means it's nearly flawless. In recent auctions, MS67 coins have sold for as much as $150 to $300. An MS68, which is even rarer, can bring in upwards of $500 or more. The key here is condition. Coins that are well struck, have no scratches, and retain their original mint luster are much more desirable to collectors. So what's the current market saying in 2025? Prices are holding steady for high-grade and error coins. There's been a slight uptick in interest recently, especially with more people getting into coin collecting through online platforms and YouTube channels. Some rare varieties have even seen bidding wars on eBay and at heritage auctions. But the real value comes from knowing what you have. A coin that looks ordinary might have an error that's been overlooked. A well-preserved coin in a coin flip or holder from years ago might now be a top-grade example. Section 7. How to check your coins and what to do if you think you have a valuable one. Start by taking a close look under good lighting. A magnifying glass or a cheap coin loupe can help you spot doubling, mint errors, or unusual wear. If you suspect your coin might be valuable, consider sending it in for grading. But be careful. Grading can cost money, so make sure your coin has potential before investing in that step. You can also check sold listings on sites like eBay to get a feel for what similar coins are actually selling for. Not just what sellers are asking to. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just now rummaging through your change, keep an eye out for that 2002 D Ohio quarter. Look for errors. Check the condition. You might just find a small treasure in your spare change. We talk all things coins, currency, and collectibles. Today, we're diving deep into two fascinating coins that have captured the attention of collectors all across the world. We're talking about the 2004 Washington quarter dollar and the incredibly historic 1848 Liberty-seated quarter. One is a modern piece with hidden treasures, and the other is a piece of American history worth a small fortune. If you've got either one of these quarters sitting in a jar somewhere, you might be holding on to more than just 25 cents. Let's start with the 2004 Washington quarter. This quarter is part of the state quarters program that ran from 1999 to 2008. The P stands for Philadelphia Mint, one of the main mints where U.S. coins are produced. In 2004, 5 different quarters were released, representing Michigan, Florida, Texas, Iowa, and Wisconsin. But among these, one design stands out not just for its art, but for the fortune it could bring. That's right, we're talking about the 2004 Wisconsin quarter. This coin became the subject of national headlines when collectors discovered a mysterious variation on the reverse side of the coin. Specifically, the design features a cow, a wheel of cheese, and a large ear of corn. But on some of these coins, there's something extra. Some have an additional leaf on the corn stalk, either pointing down or up. These varieties are known as the extra leaf high and extra leaf low Wisconsin quarters. Now, here's where things get really interesting. These error coins were not supposed to exist. No one knows exactly how the extra leaves got there, whether it was a die gouge, a mistake, or something done intentionally. But what we do know is this: collectors are willing to pay a lot for them. Depending on the condition, these coins have sold for anywhere from a few $100s to over $1,500. That's right, $1. One of these in uncirculated condition or in a certified holder could fetch you big money at auction or through private sales. But even more common 2004p Washington quarters, especially those in mint state condition or with a high grading, can have added value to collectors. Coins graded MS65 and above can sell for $10 to $30, and the ones in MS67 or MS68 condition can fetch up to several $100s. Not bad for a coin you might find in your pocket change. Now let's take a step back in time. We're going way back to the year 1848. That's the year of the California Gold Rush, and it's also the year the United States minted one of the most iconic coins in its history, the 1848 Liberty-seated quarter. This coin features Lady Liberty seated on a rock, holding a shield in one hand and a staff with a Liberty cap in the other. On the reverse, you'll find the classic eagle design, wings spread wide, clutching arrows and an olive branch, a powerful symbol of America's strength and peace. Now, what makes the 1848 quarter so rare and valuable? First off, its age. It's over 175 years old. And because it was struck at a time when the U.S. Mint didn't produce coins in the massive quantities it does today, surviving examples are extremely scarce. Only about 400,000 of these coins were ever minted, and far fewer remain in good condition today. Collectors look for these coins in all grades, but if you have one in fine condition or better, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. A circulated 1848 quarter in good shape might bring you anywhere from $100 to $500, depending on its wear. But if you've got a high-grade version, one that's been preserved with sharp detail, clean surfaces, and no damage, it could be worth as much as $10,000 or more. And here's the kicker: some rare varieties of the 1848 quarter have even higher value. Die cracks, off-center strikes, and double dies can make a big difference in what collectors are willing to pay. Coins with original luster, minimal wear, and strong strike details are always going to bring top dollar. Now, let's talk about the current coin market. The demand for rare and valuable coins is stronger than ever. With inflation, economic uncertainty, and a booming interest in tangible investments, more people are turning to coins as a store of value. That means prices are rising, auctions are heating up, and competition among collectors is fierce. If you've got a 2004p Washington quarter, especially a Wisconsin extra leaf variety, or an 1848 Liberty-seated quarter, it's time to take a close look. You might be sitting on a small fortune. And remember, condition is everything. A small difference in grade can mean the difference between $50 and $5,000, so check your change. Dig through those old collections, and maybe give Grandma a call to see if she has any old quarters lying around. You never know. The next great treasure might be hiding in plain sight. We are talking about the 2017D Washington quarter dollar. A coin that might just be hiding in your pocket change and could be worth far more than 25 cents. Stick around as we unpack the history of this coin, uncover rare errors, and explore how some of these quarters have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. This is your ultimate guide to the 2017D Washington quarter. Let's jump right in first. A little background on the Washington Quarter series. The Washington Quarter was first issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It quickly became a regular circulation coin and has remained a staple in U.S. coinage ever since. Over the decades, the design has evolved, most notably with the 50-state quarters program from 1999 to 2008, followed by the America the Beautiful series, which brings us to our main focus today. The 2017D Washington Quarter. In 2017, the United States Mint released 5 quarters as part of the America the Beautiful program. Each quarter represented a national site from a different state. The 2017D Mint mark means the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Here are the 5 designs released in 2017 effigy mounds in Iowa, D.C., and Puerto Rico's Frederick Douglass National Historic Site, Ozark National Scenic Riverways in Missouri, Ellis Island in New Jersey, George Rogers Clark National Historical Park in Indiana. Each of these designs has its own unique appeal, but when we talk about coins worth big money, we are usually referring to rare errors, low mintage numbers, or Varieties that attract attention from serious collectors. Let's start with notable errors and varieties in the 2017 D quarters that have caught the eyes of collectors. Some of the most sought-after error types in these coins include double die obverse, where elements of the design like the date or the word Liberty appear doubled off center strikes, where the image is misaligned, making part of the coin blank or stretch die cracks or cuds, raised areas on the coin due to damaged die's missing clad layer, a dramatic error where the nickel layer is missing, revealing a copper core strike, through errors where foreign material gets between the die and the planchet during striking. Now let's highlight specific examples that have sold for impressive amounts. A 2017 D George Rogers Clark quarter with a major off-center strike sold for over $250 in auction. Another with a double die obverse was graded MS66 by PCGS and fetched nearly $400. Even more eye-popping, a coin with a missing clad layer that was perfectly preserved in a high mint state grade went for close to $750. But it gets even more interesting. In 2021, a collector discovered a 2017 D quarter from the Ozark Riverways series with a dramatic die break creating what appeared to be a spiked crown on George Washington's head. This unique and dramatic error led to bidding wars and sold on eBay for over $1,000. This just goes to show how unexpected errors can turn everyday coins into major prizes. Now let's talk about grading and condition. Like with all collectible coins, condition is king. A coin graded mint state 67 or above can easily command a premium. Coins that have never been in circulation and show no wear, known as brilliant uncirculated coins, are the most desirable. Coins submitted to grading services like PCGS or NGC often sell for the most money because buyers trust the professional certification. So, what is the current market value of a 2017 D Washington quarter for most circulated examples? These coins are worth face value, just 25 cents. However, a coin in uncirculated condition can range from $1 to $5 on average depending on the design. Rare error coins and high mint state graded coins can fetch anywhere from $50 to several hundred, and in exceptional cases over $1,000. Here's a quick breakdown of recent values. Common 2017 D quarter in circulation, 25 cents uncirculated mint state 63, around $1 to $3 mint state 65 and up, $5 to $15 error coins with dramatic strikes, $100 to $300 major die breaks or rare missing clad layer, up to $1,000 or more. So what should you do if you find a 2017 D quarter? First, check the design. Is it from the effigy mounds, Ozark Riverways, or maybe Ellis Island? Next, look for unusual features, doubling, off-center images, raised cracks, or odd coloration. Finally, if you think you have something special, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. Remember, not all errors are valuable, but the ones that can bring in serious money. To wrap it up, the 2017 D Washington quarter may seem like a common coin, but hidden gems are out there. Whether you are a seasoned collector or just getting started, always keep an eye on your change. The next coin you find could be a small fortune in your hand. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you never miss a treasure hunting tip. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare quarter, or if you're hoping to score one in the wild. Until next time, happy collecting.